Hello everybody. Today is going to be the final lesson before submitting the project for assessment. So basically I consider the project about over halfway complete by this time. And we're going to be looking at putting this into paper space layouts, which is used for a presentation style. You're familiar with using title blocks in model space from the mechanical design unit, but we're going to be doing title blocks in a more sophisticated, professional way for this project. So here I have my roof plan and my floor plan. Now, one thing that I didn't do in the last lesson, I just want to quickly visit, is my dashed hidden line wasn't showing up for my roof plan, and that's because I forgot to change this layer I made called roof detail to hidden. I already have a previous one made here, but I don't think I ever showed you how to create this layer. So if you click on continuous, all you have to do is highlight hidden and hit OK, and it changes it. Now, if you don't have hidden line visible, if it's not here, you click load and you scroll down until you find hidden, highlight it, and then hit OK. Now, I'm not going to do that because I already have it loaded, so it's going to give me a warning message that I don't want to see. So if you don't have it, that's how you do it. And then your roof, the footprint of your roof plan, which represents your floor plan, should appear as a dashed line. Okay. Going to regenerate this, type regen, enter. Okay, now we're still not seeing it dashed here, but, well, it is dashed, but the dashes are appearing very, very fine. So we'll look at that in a bit. To get the paper space layout, you can click into the hub, and if you're going to start from scratch, pick architectural design pool house. That opens up everything, and scroll down until you get to paper space layouts. So this description is basically going to be everything that I'm going to be doing, so I'm not going to read it, but if you want a manual way of doing this, you can read this description. So here is the D size sheet plus the title block. So what I want you to do is download this, but don't open this. So just download it. So it will be in downloads folder. So here it is in my downloads folder, and what I'm going to do is just slide it over to my desktop because I don't like to leave important things in my downloads folder. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, and we're going to do this 3 times. I'm going to type in layout in the command line, hit enter, and select template. So I have to scroll to my desktop because that's where I moved the file. Here, D size, highlight Arch the Imperial, hit OK. All right, so I'm going to repeat this process because I need 3 of these sheets. So again, I'm going to type layout, hit template, go to my desktop, select D size sheet, hit open, highlight Imperial, hit OK. And one last time. Okay, so now I have 3 of them. So I'm going to rename them by right-clicking the tabs, left-click rename. This one is going to be called floor plan. This one It's going to be called roof plan. And this one is going to be called elevations. Even though we don't have those yet, but we will eventually. So when I'm in a paper size D-size sheet, if I double click inside this drawing area, this border highlights. It bolds. If I click into the title block area, it dims. So when I click into this area, this is linking this sheet of paper into model space. And model space is where we prepare all the drawings all the time. So you've only ever worked in model space. So what we're going to do is, while this is highlighted, in the command line, type zoom, and then select all or extents. I'm going to pick all. So that finds everything in model space. So this one's going to be for the floor plan. I'm in the wrong tab here. So I'm going to click out of here and go into floor plan. And then do that again. Zoom. Pick extents. Okay, so I'm going to manually zoom in on the floor plan and get it somewhat fitting, centered. I'm eyeballing this with my mouse. So down here is where you set your scale. Scale of the selected viewport, right? So we are in the viewport here. It's highlighted. So we're going to click this arrow and we're going to select a appropriate architectural scale. So let's see what 3/4 of an inch equals a square foot looks like. Okay, so that zooms to that scale. So you need to think of this like a camera, right? So if you're going to have your cell phone and you're going to take a photo of something, in a lot of cases you're going to be using the zoom function to get it fitting into your screen the way you want. So this is no different. So paper space viewports are like using a camera, and you're zooming in. You're taking a snapshot of something in model space. That's one good way to look at it. Like if you were standing in your kitchen and your faucet at your sink is a part of something, is something that's in your kitchen. It's a part of the kitchen, but if you just want to take a photo of the faucet, you're going to take your camera and you're going to zoom just to look at that, right? Okay, so this doesn't fit. So let's try another one. Let's try 3/8 equals a square foot. It fits, but it's kind of small. We're picking up some of the fixtures here. So let's try 1/2 inch. And that is perfect. So 1/2 inch equals a square foot. You can also hold your wheel mouse down and pan it around to center it, but don't wheel your mouse. See how this reads the correct scale? Once I just wheel my mouse like that, it throws the number off. And then when I scroll back, it does the same thing. So you have to go back in again, select 1/2 inch equals a square foot. I'll just pan this centered. This hasn't moved. And then to lock it in, I just double click into the title block information. This viewport window dims, and when I move the wheel of my mouse, I'm zooming the entire title block now. So I've got my scale locked in. So let's do this again. So we're going to now go to the roof plan. Center this. We're going to double click into the viewport. Type zoom. This time I'll do an all. And we're going to zoom in on our roof plan. Okay, so we have something somewhat fitting. We're going to go to the drop-down scale list, and let's see what a 1/4 inch equals a square foot is too small. Let's see what 3/8 looks like. It's a bit small. and 1/2 inch again. So we're going to use the same scale. You want something that's going to fit as large as it can go inside that viewport that fits. If it's getting cut off somewhere, that particular scale is too large. All right, so we're going to click out of the border to lock it in. Now you notice that my dashes appear better here. Now they're hard to see. Yellow is hard to see on a white background. So if I was to just go into layer properties and I could change the color of this to cyan, and regenerate this. And now you can see it here. So that's a little more easier to see there. So anyway, next up we're going to fill in the title block, which is what you're used to doing. So all the project names should be the same. So this is going to be arch, which is short for architectural. This is going to say pool. And the last one is going to say house. Now, make sure you center this. So let's turn ortho on to make sure we don't accidentally go on some funny angle. We're going to select arch, go to move, and we're just going to eyeball this to be in the middle. We're going to do the same thing with these other words as well. Pool, house. All right, drawing. This particular drawing is the roof plan. Center it with the move tool, ortho 1. My name stays the same. Class, this is TDJ2O1. Not 0, but O. O means open. Design, K Lemieux. And we're going to move this into the center. My drawing checker is Mr. Valance. Again, use the move tool with ortho and center that here. Today's date. It's May 22nd, 2020, unfortunately, is the year. But the sun is shining outside. Okay, scale. This scale that we type here has to match the scale in the viewport. So the one we selected was 1/2 inch, like that, quotations, equals 1 foot dash 0 inches. Now, if I click over to the viewport to highlight it, what do I see here in the scale? 1/2 inch equals 1 square foot. It's typed exactly like it's shown here. This is the proper way to show it. Let's click out of the viewport. And then lastly, this is sheet 2 of 3. And I can just, slide this 3 over a bit so it looks a little more professional. And that is how you fill in your title block. We also have a place for general notes if you want to add them. And we have the school logo, school address, phone fax, and school website included onto this drawing border. So that's my roof plan all done. We're going to go over to the floor plan. We've already locked in the scale. So I have to do this all over again. And it's good that you're watching me do this again, because you can see that I take a lot of care in how I do things, because attention to detail is so important when you're doing this kind of work. Huge. 201. Half inch equals 1 square foot. Now, I didn't mention this the last time I did it, but you don't need to center these, so just fill these in and leave them where they are. Just make sure you're centering all this above text that I showed you. And this is sheet 1 of 3, because I loaded this one first, right? So this is 1 of 3, 2 of 3. Eventually, when we look at elevations, it will be 3 of 3, and that will be the entire project completed at that time. One last quick thing to do, and I'm going to switch over to model space for this. I'm not going to do this here. So whatever I do in model space is going to automatically update in the viewport in paper space. So if I click over to model, and I'm going to go back to my floor plan, I'm going to select multi-line text, draw a box here, and I'm going to type storage room. Now, when I click out of it, it's really, really small. So what I can do is highlight it, go up to the top here, and I'm going to type in something larger. So I'm going to type in 2.5 inches, and that's a little more acceptable. It's not too large, but not too small. You should still be able to read it. I'm also going to use the copy tool with Ortho-1 and copy it low again here. And then I'm going to take some measurements. So I'm going to take a measurement from, doesn't really matter where in this case. So this is 14 feet. And lengthwise, it's 16 feet, 9¼ inches. I'm not going to take the measurement here because the bulk of the room is this length here. So I'm going to double click this. Edit this to be 14 feet by 16 feet dash 9 inches. I'm not going to include, excuse me, the 1/4 inch because that's not professional. No one's going to give 2 hoots about that 1/4 inch. So it's not you don't normally show fractional sizes, but the 9 inches is significant. That's 3/4 of a foot. So we're just going to move this to be a little more centered, like that. And then I'm going to just turn ortho off for a second, and I'm going to move this more into the middle here. All right, then we're going to take this text, we're going to copy it, we're going to copy it into the sitting room, into the galley kitchen, and into the bathroom. Then all I have to do is update numbers here. So this is going to be sitting room. Now, I think the way this was done, the dimensions are exactly the same in this case, right? So this still is 14, turn ortho back on. This is still 14 feet. I don't need to change that number. And I've got 16, 9¼ inches again. So in my case, I don't need to update this. I might just center this a little bit, and that's it. So this one here, this is going to be called Galley Kitchen. We're going to take some measurements. Eight feet. Length from here to here, 12 feet, 6½ inches. So like before, 8, 12, 6. Don't include that ½ inch. No one's going to notice it. And then lastly, bathroom. So the bathroom is going to be 8 feet. I know this already. Yep. That's its length. And our width is 5 feet. It's a nice size for a bathroom. Small and efficient. Like that. Let's just center this a little better. Make sure ortho is on. And there I have it. Okay, I'm just going to select all these texts again. I'm going to go up to my layer manager, throw them on text. And if I switch over to floor plan, you can see that all of that came with it and updated. So I have everything in place now for my hand-in. I will post a video on how to hand your project in. For checking, it's very simple. You're only going to be submitting one file because these paper space layouts, they get embedded into your drawing file. So you don't need to send in 3 different files or more. It's just that same original file you've always been working on. And watch for that next video on submission. I'm probably going to post it up when I post up this one. And then our next lesson will begin on the final part of the project, which is showing your elevations. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.